Right.
You're chilling in the rain. You're some kind of butterfly. Baby, you give me midnight. You whip up my appetite. Don't leave me high and dry. Baby, you give me ice and fire. You're chilling in the rain. You're some kind of butterfly. Don't leave me here high and dry. Oh, oh, oh,
And Nasty. Host Randy Chevrier and Sheldon Napastia guides you through great stories that spark great conversations. Two really big guys talking a big game. The boys are locked in and ready to go. Welcome to the ride.
Yahoo, everybody. It is an exciting time to be in Calgary right now. We just got off of our Canada Day break where Chevy and I took a week off just to do some other stuff for a little bit, refresh, recharge the batteries. But we're back and ready to go for episode 82. And this week, there's another little celebration going on here in town, and that's the greatest outdoor show on earth, the Calgary Stampede. I'm kind of curious how many people are going to be out there tonight or are just exhausted from the day and are crawled up in bed just hoping to survive another day. Chev, welcome back.
Thanks, man.
What was bigger for you? Was it the Canada Day break, or have you been out to the Stampede grounds? Have you gotten any of that those shenanigans in yet? Or
yeah, a little bit of both. Obviously, Canada Day last weekend. We took a week off. This week is Stampede. I got a chance to get down to the grounds. Do you want to talk about that, or do you want to talk about our great 82 for our 82nd episode first?
No, I was just curious. I think we'll get to some Stampede stories then in a bit. But yeah, great 82. Who do you got?
Well, I think the greatest of all time in the CFL, at least I think as far as we're concerned, our former team. Well, you got two people there. You got in the NFL, you got Jason Witten, very famous for the Dallas Cowboys, had some great years with Tony Romo, retired, then came back, played again, and then I think he retired again. But, I mean, the man of the hour has got to be Nick Lewis. We both played with Nick. One of the greatest 82s to ever do it, especially for the Stamps. 11 seasons with that number. And I mean, we both had the opportunity to play with Nick. You played with young Nick, rookie Nick, into a couple of years of his career, and I played with young Nick into the older Nick. What do you remember most about him as a teammate? Let's start with that, because he's a great player.
Just the presence he brought to the locker room. Like you've got 50 guys in a locker room, and rookies come and go, players come and go, and you start solidifying your core, getting to know guys, third of the way into the season. Nick was one of those guys you just couldn't ignore. I mean, he came in and he acted like he belonged there right from the start. Now, like, obviously he had that big personality, but he put out on the field, he put out in practice. He got to know every guy on the team. He was just one of those guys as a rookie. You didn't know how special he would end up being necessarily physically, but just having him as a part of the locker room, he instantly put his stamp on the room. Let's just put it like that.
Yeah, and for me as a teammate, watching Nick from his second year, where he was coming off that real brash year, when second year, Jermaine Copeland came in, Kenyon Rambo, gosh, who was the other receiver there at the time? I can't even remember right now his name. There's so many that come and go, but Brett Nick Ralph. Lewis didn't come and go. No, there was Brett Ralph. There was the other guy. Shoot, I can't remember his name. It's going to come to me later. But Marte Jenkins. They were the core of the receiving core, and they were the guys that did the bobsled. They were the guys that did the bicycle when they scored the touchdown. They had fun. They got a lot of yards. They were brash, but he went from that brash receiver who always wanted the ball to that consistent leader in the locker room that still always wanted the ball. But I saw his leadership evolve over the years that I played with him. From a guy that, really, if you looked at him from the outside, you'd say, wow, that might sound like a selfish guy, because he always wanted the ball. He always talked about what he could do for the team. But he was such a competitor that he really felt he could make an impact. And the truth is, when the Stamps did not put the ball in Nick's hands, we oftentimes didn't do well. We almost out-schemed ourselves sometimes, because they think, oh, well, maybe we should do this because they're going to do this. And the fact of the matter is, Nick was a playmaker, and if you put the ball in his hands 9 times out of 10 or 9.5 times out of 10, he's making that play. And I saw a few times where we had games where he wasn't factored into the game plan, and it showed. But the type of leader Nick is, he was the guy that would get all the receivers, the young ones, put them under his wing, teach him how to run routes, and really evolved into not just a great player, but a great leader, a great team guy. He still always wanted the ball, but I think people start to understand that he was so complete in his preparation, understanding of the game, understanding of his opponent, that he knew when he could make the impact on the game. And it quickly translated from, oh, this guy's not selfish. This guy will do everything it takes to win. And that was very evidenced in the way he blocked downfield. Like, he ended some guys' careers, right?
Can I tell you a story? So the blocking is one of the things that stood out the most to me, especially like after, because I retired and you guys kept playing for years for Calgary.
Yeah.
I remember watching, I think we were playing Montreal, and remember the hurdles. One time he'd hurdle a guy, one guy he'd hit him right in the but the play I remember is he was actually playing with cracked ribs. And if you've ever had cracked ribs before, which I haven't, I've had bruised ribs, and that's painful enough. Every move on the field, you just feel right to your core. And there's this one play, the ball did not go to Nick. It was like a little hit screen out to the boundary. And there was one block that was needed, Nick coming back to block a linebacker. And I remember watching it on TSN, and Nick laid out vertically and just absolutely crushed this guy. The block that led to the touchdown, it was like a 65-yard scamper. The cameras are all following the ball all the way to the end zone. And afterwards, there's Nick Lewis still lying in the same spot. He can't get up. He knew what that was going to feel like. Yeah, he didn't care. And so the one thing, like, I love Nick as a player and what he brought to the locker room and brought to the field, that energy. But later on in his career, when I see a guy that would sell out his body like that, when that's not his, that's not his core job, but he was willing to do it for his team. And for me, Nick Lewis will always be one of the greats, a top 3 receiver in the CFL for me, for sure. He's different than the receiver. Like, he just played it his own way. Short guy, not that fast, big hands, knew how to get empty or get open, and knew how to be physical when it called for it. But
athletic as hell and tough as hell. And in fact, when he retired, when it was all said and done, Sheldon, he retired with the receptions leader in the CFL, the all-time receptions leader, recording over 1,030 receptions. I believe he passed G. Roy Simon. And, he even ended on top, like his last season, 2017. So he played from 2004 to 2017. His last season, he played 14 games, 73 receptions, 649 yards. That's a career year for some guys. And he did that at the tail end of his career, and then he retired. He had a couple of stints coaching in BC and in Calgary last year. I believe now he's working on some of his personal endeavors. But yeah, Nick is a great guy. It was great to be his teammate, and for sure he deserves all the spotlight of the 82 and on this 82nd episode of The Ride with Chevy and Nasty, brought to you by Performance Freight Management, We Drone Real Estate Media, and YYC Business. Sheldon, shall we move on?
I think we shall, Chevy. And another talent from the Stampeders days that's carried over to post-football is yourself and your poetry, your gift of the lyric and the written word, if you will. So, Trey, with that, this is my first time reading through it, but let's give it our best here, Chev. I'll start it off.
Let's do it.
And now, 300-pound poetry with Chevy and Nasty.
We're the 300-pound poets on a Stampede Tuesday night, like a bunch of Midway carnies. Our pants a little too tight.
The best to ever wear 82 was definitely not an underachiever. It was Stamp's Nick Lewis, the Hall of Fame wide receiver.
Another great former Stamp is Ticat's quarterback Bo. And for 40,000 yards this weekend, he did throw. Not all in the weekend, but he had 40,000 yards.
He joins a list of greats, but has he peaked too soon? Or will he one day surpass Cavillo, Flutie, or Moon?
As the greatest outdoor show caused the crowds to erupt, you better hide your wallets, because Stampede can make you bankrupt.
We are Chevy and Nasty. You hear it from the horse's mouth. Hold on to them reins before this ride goes south. It often does. And that's par for the course. I see in the comments, we got Trey here tonight. Trey's coming off a great day. We're going to talk about it later in our studs and duds. But, tonight we could purely put all the blame on our producer Trey's shoulders for us getting off to a late start. Maybe a rocky ride, but it's all for a good reason. Trey, we're so happy for you. We're going to talk about it later. We're going to bring you on when maybe you're a little bit more what's the word we're looking, more cleaned up. Like, he's trying to get on now. Trey, we don't want you now. You're too hyped. You're too hyped. We're gonna keep you for the third segment. We're gonna cage all that energy. But Trey's got a great story to tell. We're gonna tell a little bit later. But right now, like, we talked about Canada today. But I don't know, Sheldon, what'd you do on Canada? Like,
what I always do. Went out to the lake. I was out at the Kook. We got a trailer spot out there. Canada Day, I think we spent on a surf boat and just chilling and cruising and surfing and all that stuff. It was amazing. I treat Canada Day just purely as a break.
Okay, that's good. That's good. Yeah, I have my niece in town. I think I mentioned that. I have my niece coming in town for 3 weeks. We went up to Sylvan Lake with Brittany and the family, and it was great. The only thing, I got a flat on my tire, blew right through my rim, Sheldon. Not just the tire, but the rim got destroyed. So I had to pick up a new rim. Luckily, again, I didn't want to blow $300, but I found a new rim for my vehicle at a salvage shop. Cost me about $300 total, because a brand new rim for my vehicle was
good.
That's good. It's $300 more than I want to spend, but it's less than the $1,000 that a brand new rim would have cost me. So I'm glad, and I made it out to the beach. I didn't let that damper my day. We had such a good time. And it's pretty cool because my niece, who's from Montreal, has never really seen all this stuff. She got to experience a Western Canada Day, rolled right into a Stamps game last Thursday night. We'll talk about that. And then we did Stampede yesterday. And I tell you what, you asked me if I did Stampede. I haven't done Stampede in a long time, Sheldon. Like not since my kids were young. I might have gone to a concert maybe a few years ago, but I tell you what, it was an interesting experience. It was super interesting.
So first off, so that wasn't today. Like you didn't get down there in the 31-degree heat because I would have been melting today. You got down there yesterday?
Yeah, no, I got down there yesterday. Look, Trey, we need to cue him. Hey, Trey, you can take the graphic down.
Yeah. So
I got down there yesterday. They do this Rangeland Derby at the Chucks and the Grandstand Show. They do a homegrown hero salute. So salute to first responders and all those people. And my peers, the Calgary Fire Department, selected me along with other firefighters to stand on stage for the O Canada. It was a really cool experience. I brought my kids down. I brought my niece down, and it was super nice. But we got to spend the day on the ground. So before the Grandstand Show in the evening, those tickets gave us admission to the park. So I brought them down. I bought them bracelets for the rides, did the whole thing. And it was cool, but it was pricey. I'm not going to lie. The whole thing is pricey.
Yeah. And that's just, I mean, that's the thing right now. It is literally becoming kind of like going to Disneyland at home. Right.
Oh, yeah.
It's long are the days where you spend $20 on tickets and you get a day full of rides and all that stuff. But one of the things that I've been hearing a lot on the radio is the Stampede hacks. I know you're not a regular every year, but do you have any tips or advice? Do you find anything to save some costs, to speed some things up while you're down there, to make it a little more affordable?
So I don't know if I have any hacks, but this was my hack on the day. First of all, you buy tickets for the rides. It takes about 15 tickets for every ride. Every 60 tickets is going to run you $60. So you might as well buy a bracelet for unlimited rides. Now, this is how they get you. They have the bracelet for unlimited rides, and for $35 extra, you could get the express pass, right? So it's theoretically supposed to get you on the rides faster, but the rides in the express lanes are just as long as sort of the regular people lines. So at first I had my son and my niece, because I only bought 2 bracelets. They were the only one riding. I thought, okay, I'll get them an express pass since I'm only buying for them, get off my wallet. But I noticed that they weren't getting any further ahead, because in the express line, they'll only let in 4 to 6 at a time. And then they'll let in 10 to 15 from the regular riders. So I was kind of like, I got to stand in one of the regular lines while they're in the express line to see if we meet each other at the front. And it's almost not worth it. Like, it's just slightly worth it to get the express line, but not really. And
what's the problem? Is everybody getting into the express lane suddenly? Like, is everybody buying the ticket, or
everyone's buying an express lane? So I ran into a buddy. He said a few years ago, not everyone was buying the express line bracelet. So you actually had an advantage. But now it's basically the schmucks like me pay $35 just to get in another line. So the only hack that I had, and this actually worked, because I like to have fun, I like to hang out with the kids and stuff, but I said, you know what, that daytime was for the kids. So what I did is, when they were in a line going for a ride that they want to be on, I would start going into a line for another ride that they want to go on. So I was kind of basically a professional line stander yesterday. Yeah. So I was standing in line for them, and then when they got there, I'd go to another line. So that's about the only hack I had to save time and to maximize the value for the kids. But
how old's your niece? How old's your niece?
She's 15. So she was riding with Kyle. Yeah.
When your kids are small, I could see myself doing that. For Amanda would take the kids, and I would go be the sacrificial lambs, just standing there like an idiot in line for a ride I'm not going to go on. That's a nice move. You got a girl from Montreal coming out here to experience Stampede for the first time. The fast passes aren't working, which drives me nuts. Like, it literally should be, I don't care if it's 50-50, then it should be like it should be like 10-5, right? You've got to have an advantage to buying that, or just,
well, there's almost none. There's almost none. But this is the thing, like, and we talk about our show leaning into men's health and men's mental health. I was fully decked out in my cowboy gear. It was pretty hot yesterday. Not today hot, but it was hot. And I was standing in line. I put in my earbuds. I listened to some music, and I was at peace. I was like, this is what the dad does. The dad carries the cooler handbag. the dad carries the backpack filled with sweaters for the evening show. The dad just hangs. And I like having fun. Like I'm usually on the rides, but I was like, there's no way I'm buying an extra pass for me. And I was really at peace with doing that for the kids, for their entertainment. And I barely spoke to them between rides because the minute they got in the spot, I went to another one. But I was able to maximize the day for them, and it was fun. And I was just standing in line, sweating up a storm, but I didn't care. And so that was my only hack. The other thing is we kind of hit in the Big Four. They had an old vintage arcade, spent a few minutes there, but the only other hack is I brought a cooler backpack filled with sandwiches, fruit, snacks, and that got us through at least one meal in the day. And they allowed that. So that was good. But again, you're looking at about $100 for dinner between the six of us that were there. I had my son Luke and his girlfriend, my niece. So it is pricey,
that's not bad though. $100 for, I know it's fair food, but $100 for 6 kids is not that.
Well, $100 for the food, another 100 and something for each bracelet, because that's $95 a bracelet, plus the tickets that I bought for the kids to get in, because I got 2 free tickets as part of my thing, but I had to buy tickets for the kids. I got them at 50% off because I was part of this thing. I had a promo code, but it was still about $160 of tickets. So it is a pricey day. And again, I want to get back to something you said. It's like Disneyland. It's like going there, and I don't know where you sit with Stampede, but I've been one of those, like, I could care less. Like, if someone gives me tickets, I'll go, but I'm not I'm not a get out of town when Stampede's in town type of guy. Like some people's like very anti-Stampede. I'm not that guy, but I'm not in line to get tickets at the co-op to go. If I go, I go. If I don't, I don't. But this is what I was going to say. I did the Chucks. The Chucks were pretty awesome. The Chuck wagons were pretty awesome. There's some of the prices on some of the things there. I don't know. That's not even the prices, because the Budweisers and the Bud Lights were at $10.50. Those are definitely 10 years ago prices, because I bought a beer yesterday for my son Luke, and it was over $10.50. So those aren't even the real prices. But the mini donuts were good. But what I was going to say is this: whether you get out of town or not, or you're someone that's anti-Stampede or not, I will encourage every once in a while to at least go. Trey, drop the graphic. To go to the Stampede, especially for the Grandstand show. I went probably 10, 15 years ago to Grandstand show. I remembered it being fun, but I don't remember it being great. Maybe I don't remember it enough. But I went to the Grandstand show yesterday. Sheldon, probably one of the best entertainment / variety shows I've ever been to. On top, you layer in the fireworks that were probably some of the best fireworks I'd ever seen, including Disney World and all that. And then layer in the drone show. Just that alone was worth the price of admission. It was such a fantastic show that I was like, oh man, I think I got to do this once in a while, because the show was worth it. Whether you're an anti-Stampede person or not, I think it's worth going, because you take for granted that this is in our own backyard. And like I said, my kids were like, Dad, these might be the best fireworks we've ever seen. Like they were in awe.
Yeah, very cool.
They could have done for you. Okay, go ahead.
I'm gonna save this one for after the break though. You talked about the hack that you tried out. It didn't really work out. I heard about another hack that didn't sit too well with me, but I want to get your take, and I got a feeling I know what you're going to say. So guys, right now we're going to take a quick break. Grab yourself a snack, a pee, a drink, whatever you need to do, and we'll be seeing you guys here in about 2 minutes.
Performance Freight Management is a global logistic freight shipping company that will handle the entire shipping process for any package to any country. Whether it be a simple truck shipment from your office to Toronto, or your company importing generators from China, PFM Freight handles it all. We have the expertise and technology to handle any shipping requirements. Skip the guesswork and let us take the shipping pain off your plate.
you want your business to be known. YYCCalgaryBusiness.ca is Calgary's only online media platform that gets you noticed. Short-form video content is rapidly taking over as the most effective way to engage your audience. Whether you're being interviewed on a vodcast, sharing a sizzle reel, or even hosting your own show, there is one place you can publicize your business. We want to tell your story and introduce you to our network of empowered business owners and leaders right here in Calgary. Isn't it time you took your digital game to 11? Call us or email us now.
Welcome back. It's The Ride. He's Chevy. I'm Nasty. And we are brought to you, as always, by Performance Freight Management, Weedrone Real Estate Media, and, of course, YYC Business Group in Calgary. Chev, this morning I had a bit of an interesting start to the day. Before I ask you the question, I just wanted to let you know that people still remember that the Chevy and Nasty show, the original one on the Fan 960 back in the day. Yep. This morning, it was awesome. I shot with this guy. First time ever, realtor, was out there doing the full video shoot, everything, the drones, everything. And he's like, you just seem so familiar. And I said, well, I used to play with the Stamps. He's like, oh, I used to be buddies with Crysdale and Childress. And he goes, wait a minute. You and Chevy had that radio show on the Fan 960.
Well, there you go.
And, and he was like, yeah, the poetry, right? And I'm like, yeah. So I thought that was kind of cool, Chev. That some guys, outside of our moms still remember what we did back in the day. But I thought that was a neat story.
Well, and that is a neat story, and I wish we could connect with some of those folks that used to listen to our show. And through the magic of the internet, you can. But we also need your help, guys. Trey put up the graphic there, and we're at Chevy and Nasty on all social media, from Facebook all the way to TikTok, and then you can listen to our show whether it's on Facebook, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Amazon Music. So there's many ways you can be part of the ride, and there are many ways that some of your friends and family can be part of the ride. So please share the reels, share the content, share the links, because we sure enjoy the interaction with you guys. Just want to say hi to some of you that are here tonight, Jamin and Bruno and Ernie Regis. We got Todd Cozy's there, and I also saw, I believe, Daryl was up there. So yeah, lots going on, lots to talk about, and we enjoy being here each week. In fact, we miss it when we take a week off, but we definitely need a break once in a while. I think Trey's going to need a break after tonight. But
Shelly, you want for the third, though? Yeah, I have a question for you.
Yeah, what's the question?
I want to get your guys' opinions out there, too, because I already think I know what Chevy's going to say. Talking about Stampede hacks, I was listening to the Sarah Crosby show here on in Calgary, and this one guy writes in and says, you know what? Time and value, time or money, right? Which one's more important to you? Well, on the Stampede grounds, you're already, like you said, it's not cheap. And when you want to go do something as simple as go to a food truck and get something to eat, oftentimes you've got lineups of 40 minutes. You're with the kids. You want to jump in line and save space for them. One guy wrote in and said, hey, I figured it out. What I do is I go up to the front of the line and ask the first 3-4 people who are just getting something for themselves, I will buy your lunch, if you let me place an order with you too, so I don't have to wait in line. And, at first I was thinking about it, and first of all, it kind of stunk to me. But then at the same time, that's capitalism and free market. Chev, where do you fall out on that? Is that a smart move to pay double for your lunch, but to get back out onto the grounds, or is that kind of a dick move to everybody behind you?
Well, I don't think it's a dick move. I think it's an industrious move. Do I think it's the smartest move? No. But I mean, more power to someone. If you like if you have a yard and you would like to sit in your yard, but you don't like to mow the grass, you're going to pay someone to mow your lawn. And someone say, well, why would you do that if you can mow it yourself? If you value that hour or whatever it takes you, I don't have a yard, but I live in a little townhouse and I put a deck over it. But if you value the time it takes you to do that work, then you pay for the service. So I think that exactly what you said, it's industrious and it works, and I'm okay with it. I mean, if I'm the person maybe 7 people back and I see that, I maybe if I notice it, I'd be a little bit maybe upset, but you wouldn't even know. That's the thing. You wouldn't know. It's like me standing in line for my kids and then jumping out when they're close to the line, and then they go and I go to another one. I think that's smart. It's industrious. So I don't have anything against it. The people way at the back of a 45-minute line won't even notice that's happening. So if anyone gets pissed off,
I agree with you. It is industrious, but I am that guy that would notice it from the back of the line.
Would you, for me, like from 45 minutes back?
I relate it to this. I relate it to rush hour traffic in Calgary. Now, I'm in my vehicle all the time. I have a lane strategy that is so solid, I can beat Google Earth, Apple Maps by 5-6 minutes easy. And it's purely by smart lane selection. I'm not breaking any rules. I'm not inconveniencing anybody. I just know how traffic flows. But I can see out of the corner of my eye as somebody's coming up and they're going to do something stupid. They're going to take it too far over the top. And they're going to cut somebody off at the last minute. I don't do that. I play it smart, and I choose the shortest line when I'm at the Stampede grounds or a place like that.
Okay, but what about this?
It does piss me off.
Okay, but those are two different things. Those are two. So what about this?
If he's going to spend an extra $20 to buy a person a sandwich, I think he's got to buy a sandwich for every person in line that he just bumped up. It's industrious, but it's dirty. I don't like it.
Okay, what about this? What if right as that guy's about to cut you off, he e-transfers you $20?
Done.
And he's in.
No,
right?
That is an awesome analogy. I don't know. I'm usually so heated by then that I'm right up on the guy's bumper in front of me. Like, because dude, the solid line's already started.
You know what? This would be awesome if we could create an app that as you're approaching cars, there's a value to each car. And as you get closer, it's more and more money. So the guy that right in front, that's like $100. The guy behind is $50. And when you hit that button and the transfer comes in, you you slow down and you let the guy in. Wouldn't that be a sweet app?
I love it. Yeah.
We'd be a lot happier.
Justice, Chevy. That is justice. I love it.
But what I will say is my smart hack is I would look, unless you absolutely want some deep fried pig ears or honey buttered scorpion tail. What I would do is what I did at Country Thunder last year, which made me the greatest festival goer ever. I went to the front door, and as I was walking to the front door, I pulled up Uber Eats. I found the address of the building right across the street. I ordered my favorite burger, my favorite fries. I ordered Brittany's favorite food. We met them there within 20 minutes. It would have taken us probably 50 minutes to get to the front of the line and overpay for the food. I got exactly what I wanted. I paid half the price in half the time.
That's a hack.
That's a hack. I would do the same thing at Stampede. If I wasn't so tired, I wouldn't even think straight, and I wasn't waiting in line. Like, we went to the Big Four, they got a Subway in there, and there was no lineups. But had I really been smart, I would have gone across the street from Victoria Park Station. I would have found a building. I would have ordered from the best pizza place in Calgary, and I would have paid a third of what I would have paid for a crappy hamburger in Stampede. That's what I'll do next time. I do. So that's an actual hack that you could do. But yeah, it was, the hacks exist. Again, one thing I did learn is that if you do plan to go to Stampede, you could get a lot of this, like those tickets that I bought the day of. Probably could have saved about $15 if I did it at IGA before Stampede started, but I didn't know any of that, or Freshco and all those places, but they got some deals, but nothing crazy. I know the other hack that a lot of people do, especially with little kids, is instead of going to Stampede and doing all the rides, go to Callaway Park. If you got little kids, go to Callaway Park because no one's there this week, and you can do all the rides multiple times. I assume that the West Edmonton Mall might be the same if you want to do that, water slides. But yeah, those are some of the hacks if you want to have a good week while everyone's at the Stampede. But it was a good time. I'll tell you, Sheldon, that was a good activity. But what was also nice to show my niece and my whole gang was the Stampeders. What is it? What do they call it? The Western Bowl?
Stampede Bowl.
The Stampede Bowl. That kicked off Stampede. And I thought it was a fantastic game. It was awesome. Stamps versus the Bombers. Everyone probably would have picked the Bombers in this one, and the Stamps came out and took the lights out, or beat the brakes off the Bombers, so to speak. So
this one wasn't even close. I mean, and we've been talking about this one for a while though, because it was a big night, right? Like Brett Michaels was in there putting on a show at halftime. And the big question was, would people show up during Stampede? So I had a ticket. Jamin got me a ticket, but I ended up getting stuck at work too late. I couldn't get down there. It wasn't the fullest crowd I've ever seen, but it was busy. and it looked like people were having fun. Like, what was your experience there at the game? Was it worth going?
It was fun. You know what? The Stamps put on a great show on the field. That's the first thing, right? The on-field product was great. The lots was going well. So I thought that was great. The Bret Michaels show was great. He played a bunch of poison hits. It was very funny because after the show, he was basically inferring that he's like, yeah, I'll see you next week with Def Leppard, Poison, and Joan Jett. And I was like, I don't think they're coming to town. And he kept saying, yeah, I'll see you next week. And when I looked, like, his next show is like in New York next week. So I don't know what he was drinking or smoking, but he put on a great show. It was disappointing that there weren't as many people as I felt there should have. Like, I think the Stampeders have done a great job trying to market. Like, Jay McNeil and his team have really been pulling out all the stops to make the game day experience what it used to be like when we played. And when we played, they barely did anything as far as entertainment. Like, the whole entertainment value was the tailgate and the game, and that was it. Whereas now they've got so much going on, and the people still don't seem to be coming. And I'm not sure what it is, but I don't think it's for lack of trying on the Stampeders' part. I don't think it's for lack of talent on the field because, again, what did they win? 4 or 5 games now early in the season. They got got a franchise type quarterback. They made a big splash in free agency with him. They got some good young Canadians with the Philpots, or a Philpot. So for me, to tell you the truth, the crowd didn't look terrible, but I was a bit disappointed. I thought Calgary would show up. And I was talking after the game with Michael Ball, our good buddy Michael Ball. We were texting, and he thinks the CFL's dying, right? And everything's moving to TV. I think the Stampeders need to make a bigger splash. We just talked about Stampede. You know what I would like to see? And I've said this before, but I would like to see them figure out a way to play a game in the grandstands where they do the chuck wagons. Find a way to build that rollout turf like they have in Arizona, even if they draw half the crowd, which I think they'll probably fill the grandstands with the amount of people they had at McMahon, and make it a huge event. Calgary's gotten bigger since you and I have played. The city has spread so far south and so far north that McMahon Stadium is very far in a very obscure, like Crowchild North or Crowchild South is
It's not the center of the heart of Calgary anymore.
And it's hard to get to. If you live down in, I don't know, what's one of the far south places? Cranston? I don't even know where. Mackenzie Town. You don't want to drive an hour and a half to come to Stamps game, and you don't want to sit on an LRT for an hour and a half to come home at the end of the night. But if you're downtown, I think it's a different story. I think that's what changed the fortunes for the Montreal Alouettes, and that's kind of what I relate this to. This idea, this stupid idea that I have, this crazy idea to actually play downtown is literally what happened with the Montreal Alouettes. They went from the Big O in the east where I lived, and it basically isolated the Alouettes from a whole portion of Montreal that would never travel to the east. Like English Montreal lives on the west side. They don't travel to the east where the French and the Italians live. It's kind of like Calgary. People don't leave their quadrant unless they're going to IKEA in the south. That's it.
Yeah.
Or unless you're a real estate photographer. But other people that live in the Northwest will not leave the Northwest. And I don't care if you give them free tickets. If they live in the far south, they're not coming to McMahon on a Thursday night. That's point final, as the French say. So if you find a way to get a game downtown, at least one, just to try it out, I think that's the big splash you're going to make. And I think people will show up.
I would go. That would feel like the open ice, open air NHL games. Right. So just something different, right? And I think it would be fun to get down there in a completely different environment. You can't play there, year round, but
well, why couldn't you though? Why couldn't you? Why couldn't you get the downtown?
Well, you need the building. Like how many people can you get into the grandstands? You need to build that up to at least.
I wonder if Daryl can answer that question, because I think those grandstands look like they hold at least 18,000 people. That's just on the one side. I mean, you got about that on a regular season game at McMahon on two sides. Fill it on one side, put some temporary seating on the other. Let's see if it flies for a season, and then maybe negotiate with the Stampede board and say,
you know what else you're going to get? You're going to get a place where the young people come have a couple of drinks, and they just hang out because it's a massive area, right? You can sit in your seat and you can watch the game. But the one thing that McMahon Stadium doesn't have is like a concourse where it feels social, right? There's nothing going on there, or there's nothing going on there. Whereas if you could make this feel like high school games used to feel like, well, maybe not in Montreal, I'm not sure, but where people show up, they hang out, they watch a bit of the game, they talk, they socialize, where it's just like an event to be there where everybody's at. And I think the grandstands might bring something to that.
Well, and you get the
standing room only.
And with the they're reimagining that area, especially for the Flames, and they're building a new hotel, high rise. They got the casinos, but you get to attract that downtown crowd, that downtown working crowd on a Friday night. They'll stick around, go grab a dinner at Milestones and then catch a game, grab some beers, tailgate. It still maintain the integrity of the tailgate. They just have to really reimagine how the Stampeders look within the city and where they are located geographically. I think that's the only way they survive, because right now, the Northwest, you're only drawing from the Northwest and maybe some downtown people and the diehards that don't live in the Northwest. But if you want to make it, if you want to make it attractive to everyone in Calgary, you got to move closer to downtown. You got to put it somewhere where everyone says, okay, well, I could do that. Yeah. But the minute you put it in another quadrant, you're going to get people say, I ain't going there. I ain't going there. It's like if you would say, hey, you're going to move the Stampeders to somewhere in Forest Lawn, you're going to get a lot of people say, I'm not going there. It's just the way it is, right? So I think that's something they need to try. And it might cost them a lot of money, but they have to invest. I thought this was a great deal. Putting the Stampede Bowl right before Stampede started, I think that was a great move because they hadn't done that in years. And I think this was a great start, but they need more. They need more.
Even on television, it was a good watch, right? Like, as the panel got into it, there was a lot of Stampede theme going on there. So I think it was a move in the right direction, and I hope they keep pushing for it for sure.
Yeah. Well, so
that's kind of all our time for the segment. Like,
oh my goodness,
do we want to? I've got a way I can segue some of our picks from last week into our studs and duds here coming up. We can save that for a minute, or do you want to touch on anything else in the CFL other than Stamps look great?
Well, I just want to make one admission. I just want to make one admission. This is my admission. So you all know that I am the commissioner of our Chevy and Nasty weekly pick'em, and usually every week I send out a commissioner's letter. Well, guys, I'm going to tell you the commissioner was asleep. I was on vacation. Apparently, I'm not cut out for a leadership role, because in my great adventures through Canada Day and the Stampeders, Stampede Bowl, and some of the other stuff, I'm going to admit I forgot to make my picks, at least for the first two games. I thought about it on Thursday after kickoff. I was like, oh, crap, I forgot to pick my picks. For some reason, I put them in right away in the app, but I couldn't see because there was so much sun that I wasn't sure I saved it. And then by the time that Bo Levi was kicking Toronto's ass on Friday night, I realized I forgot those picks as well. So I was down 2 picks. So I didn't do so well.
You weren't going to pick Calgary over Winnipeg.
Of course I was. And you know, I ride with Bo. So I blew 2 picks. And at the end of the week, I basically ended up with 1 win. And Trey is showing off that he is of the members of the show.
He is bumped in front of both of us.
Yeah, I bumped ahead of you. How'd you do last week? Because I did terrible. Did you only win 1 game last week? Or did you win 2?
No, I went 3-1. I won 3. So I got the riders right. I went with Bo Levi because I think it was clear who they play. Montreal?
No, they play Toronto.
Or they play Toronto, and Toronto still doesn't have a solid quarterback. Although Arbuckle made it somewhat close.
Yeah.
I went 3-1. This week's going to be a little bit tougher because now you got to figure out who the Lions are after a big win this weekend, and are the Riders legit enough to beat Calgary with Vernon Adams playing the way he's been playing and the defense. It's going to be
I'm going to lock in my picks right now. I'm not going to tell you who I'm picking, but it looks like there's only 3 games this week, which is
you already said you're going to ride with Bo. You're always going to pick Hamilton no matter who they're facing. You're going to pick Calgary Stampeders no matter who they're facing or where they're on, whether on the road or at home.
But we only have 3 games to pick this week, so that's terrible. we're getting shorter to game. So again, what I wanted to say is my big admission. Your fearless commissioner is not perfect, but I can admit that. I can walk in front of a mic, in front of the camera, and say, you know what? I'm human. I make mistakes, and I'm going to endeavor to be better next week. So next week we'll have a letter out. I already got my picks in, so I'm good with that.
Don't worry about the letter. Just get your picks in, Chev. Don't worry about the
yeah.
letter. Just send the picks.
Well,
Although
I
don't always read your letters, by the way, but I do treat them as an alarm, right? Oh, indication. Oh yeah, that's right. I got to get these in.
See, and I didn't even, but I treat it as an alarm myself. And because I forgot to write the letter, I forgot to make my picks. At least that would have been my safety mesh. But it looks like we're having a domestic in our chat between Dine and Dash Dad and Trey. Let's see what's going on. So before we take a break here, Dine and Dash Dad says he thinks it's about 100,000 excuses that they don't want to put an extra $100,000 for ropers. No problem gouging the public for everything possible. I think that's because Chad indicated in an earlier message that he boycotts the Stampede. And so he says he's that guy that boycotts the Stampede. And here's Trey firing back. He says, that's a load of BS, Dad. They put up $100K for the breakaway after 2 years of being an event. Team roping has been an event for 100 years. So Trey's on fire. So listen, Trey, we know you're on fire back there. You're brimming with excitement and maybe a little bit of extra courage there. And that didn't sound like you're agreeing with your dad. We're going to take a break. We'll get back. We'll get Trey on the show. He could talk about his great day that he had. Guys, you're listening to The Ride with Chevy and Nasty, Performance Freight Management, We Drone Real Estate Media, and YYC Business. We'll be back in a minute. Take a drink, have a pee. See you soon.
Performance Freight Management is a global logistic freight shipping company that will handle the entire shipping process for any package to any country. Whether it be a simple truck shipment from your office to Toronto or your company importing generators from China, PFM Freight handles it all. We have the expertise and technology to handle any shipping requirements. Skip the guesswork and let us take the shipping pain off your plate.
Do you want your business to be known? YYCCalgaryBusiness.ca is Calgary's only online media platform that gets you noticed. Short-form video content is rapidly taking over as the most effective way to engage your audience. Whether you're being interviewed on a vodcast, sharing a sizzle reel, or even hosting your own show, there is one place you can publicize your business. We want to tell your story and introduce you to our network of empowered business owners and leaders right here in Calgary. Isn't it time you took your digital game to 11? Call us or email us now.
And we're back.
We are. So where do we go now? We talked Stampede, we talked some CFL. We mentioned a whole bunch of stuff. Do we do studs and duds first, or what do you want to do here?
We don't have a lot of time. We might go a couple minutes over tonight, but I think we got a couple good ones on the studs and duds. Tonight. In fact, so Trey, why don't you cue us up here, and I'm going to bring you up first, but I want to hear the name.
Studs and duds.
So my stud was actually really it's just a newly developing story. It just happened tonight, in fact, and part of the reason why Trey was late by a couple of minutes to getting us on the air tonight. Trey, I believe, was off golfing with some buddies in Lacombe, a couple of hours north of here, and he had one of those rare, exciting experiences that, unless you've experienced it yourself, you'd never know what the feeling is. But Trey actually hit a hole-in-one. And Trey, before you tell us about it, can you just share that moment that you realized that it was a hole-in-one here with the audience?
Yeah, for sure. This one. Are you fucking serious? Let's go! Oh my
Pick
god!
that shit out of the car.
Let's go! Come on! I love this hole. What the fuck? Come on!
Well, now, first of all, Trey looks like he was kind of in the stampeding spirit as it was. It looked like there might have been a couple of wobbly pops leading up to that hole. But what I saw, you didn't even realize you had a hole in one until you got to the hole.
Nope. We had no. Yeah, one of my friends thought it went in, but I didn't think it went in. That's for sure.
So is this your first time? Is this your first one? Like, you've played a lot of golf. Is this the first time you've ever actually sunk one, or?
No, this is my second one. I had one in June of last year, right before I started producing the show for you guys. I got one, and then this is my second one in 13 months.
So what's the so you get a hole in one? Is there a tradition that goes along with it? Do you get your name up on that club for the rest of your life? Do they buy you a free round?
Yes, I actually keep the ball. I have the ball still. I'll write a little fancy note on it. I'll keep the scorecard somewhere. I'm gonna get a flag in the morning. I'll have all my buddies sign it to prove it was legit. And just like a lifelong memory. Honestly, I'm with 4 or 5 of my best friends right now, and it was crazy that we even got the show.
So that you're hurting tonight. We could tell because I'm seeing truck pull videos show up. I'm seeing episode 25 athletes,
and it looks like you
up.
have like a pillow fort. Like when my kids had sleepovers when they're kids and they had blankets set up. It looks like we've got a pillow fort or something going on.
Yeah, curtain from the AC that's blowing on. It's pretty hot in our hotel room. But
Trey, let me ask:
are you staying in Lacombe tonight?
Yes, yeah, we have to.
I hear it's
beautiful
this time of year.
Chateau Lacombe. Trey, let me ask you. We have now in the recent weeks, we have a couple of videos of you celebrating. Which brought you more elation today, seeing that ball in the hole, or that night when the Oilers won the game and you jumped out of your chair? Because that one was pretty special to you as well. Which one did you have?
The Oilers one was more like I was still shaking after my hole in one, so I'd say probably the hole in one was more special because it's like you just can't believe it. Like it's stunning. But the Oilers one is always like, well, you always feel like there's a good chance that they could win. When I stepped up to the tee, like I was late to the tee. I was still writing down scores. I was like just barely put on my glove. We were getting yelled at to hurry up, and I just hit the ball, and it just disappeared after. Yeah, it disappeared after 2 hops, and I was like, oh yeah, like. Probably close, but nothing's crazy. And then one of my buddies,
I don't golf much.
So
I don't golf much, and I don't know about Sheldon, but I know like the few times I've golfed, like the ball for me disappears instantly when I hit it. I have no clue where it's going. That's why I like going to the driving range at night because I could see the little white in the distance. I'm like, I knew I hit it either straight or, but the minute I hit it in the daytime, I mean, you could tell me I got a hole in one and I hit in the rough, and you'd be right all the time.
We saw it for the most part, 99% of it, but I guess the most important 1% we missed. But it made for a pretty cool moment when we walked up to the green and my ball was missing, and we kind of were like, oh shit, this might be in the hole.
Right. This might be a first and it might be a last, but Trey Smith, our producer, is my stud for this week.
Yes, thank you, Sheldon. Also,
good job, Trey.
Happy 1 year with you guys. It's officially been a year.
Officially the 1 year anniversary with Trey on the show.
Yeah. Well, thanks for having me on. What a good way to cap off the 1 year with you guys. And
well, I think that's because we're just.
I guess that means we do the 1 year review after this and see what direction the show goes after this, Chev. But we'll talk about that off the air. But nice work, Trey, on the whole.
Yes. Thank you.
Is this the start of the next year? Is this the start of the next year? Is this the last show of last year? I don't know which one it is.
Definitely gonna have to be our last show of the first year. I'm in no shape or form to have next year's ready for tonight. So we'll have
Trey, what they say, it's not how you start, it's how you finish. So this is not promising. Yes. Okay, I'm gonna go with my stud now. We're gonna keep the show on the road. My stud this week, I flip-flop back and forth, keeping Trey on his toes, but I think my stud's going to be Bo Levi Mitchell. My former teammate, he's got 2 Grey Cups. He passed the 40,000 career yards passing market, puts him in some really, really good company. I think he just passed, was it Brock Dieter or Dieter Brock? He's just below Ron Lancaster, I believe, and some amazing quarterbacks, probably the fastest to do it. Is this the year that Bo has a resurgence? I don't know, but I looked at that game. Man, he looked good. His connection with Kenny Lawler is just ridiculous.
That is
full of old.
That could be league changing if he can keep it up. My problem with Bo Levi was, yes, he's thrown through a lot of yards the last couple of seasons, but it's all been at the end of games. They were in control of this game from the start. And when he gets connected with Lawler, like, it was fun to watch. And I'm not a huge Bo Levi guy, but that was a fun game to watch. The CFL needs quarterbacks to play at their best and run exciting offenses. And that's what we got from him. So, Chev, we'll see. I know you picked him to be your stud every week until you had to scratch him off because you lost again. But
yeah,
he looked awesome this weekend.
Well, he looked great. I mean, listen, he's coming off a league MOP award last year, and you don't get those just by garbage yards. If I'll say who got a lot of garbage yards last year, like McLeod Bethel Thompson had a lot of yards last year, and a lot of those were garbage yards, just trying to make stuff happen. Bo, I think, was more in the middle towards the top end. But he's really come out strong this year. And I mean, right now, he's probably the best quarterback in the East. I mean, he's been healthy, which has been kind of against him. His health has been against him the last couple of years. He's missed games in each of the last 2 seasons since going to Hamilton. But, he really looks like he's in control right now. And at least for the time being, he looks like the Bo of old. So I'm going to give him the nod, not just for the great performance in Toronto, but also that with the 40,000 yards.
And I think he missed one too. I think he was the fastest to 100 wins. I think this was his 100th win. Like, he's ahead of Flutie, Garcia, Burr, like all those guys. So
do you put him in that company yet? Like, I know we were going to talk about this. But you're talking about Flutie's, Garcia's, Cavillos, Warren Moons, Tracy Hams, Dunnigans, and who's the other quarter? Damon Allen's.
Yeah.
Is he in there?
I'm open to it. Like you bring up a bunch of those names like Cavillo, Flutie, all those guys, and then you
Ricky
bring up Damon Allen. And Damon Allen did some amazing things too, but I don't think he won as much as some of the other guys did. He took a few years off, played on some bad teams. It never really worked out until it did again when he won again in Toronto.
Yeah.
And so that's why Damon Allen is in that category. I think if Bo Levi can take 5 bad seasons, right? Because he had 7 brilliant ones to start his career, like brilliant. Then he had some really rough years. If he can come back and pull a late career resurgence like Henry Burris did, yeah, absolutely. He gets in that category, at least to the level of Hank.
Yeah. Well, look at Zach Collaros, right? Had a couple of really good years early on, and injury, plague, bounced around, thought he was done. And he goes to Winnipeg and then just goes lights out. And 4 Grey Cups in 5 years or something like that?
He's been to 5 Grey Cups, but he's only won 2, right?
Yeah, 2 or 3. I think they won 3.
Maybe when they won 3.
But yeah, I think Bo Levi's up there, and his story's not done. Looks like he's on the upswing now. I think with a couple of years with a dip, but yeah, definitely my stud. My dud. Sheldon, we've been talking politics a lot over the last year. We get in, we get out. A lot of the stuff that's really the headlines. But when I think about some of the things we've been talking about the last few years, whether you're on one side of the political spectrum or not, we've talked about this. Donald Trump has put this as part of his plan for re-election, was when he gets in, he's going to release the Epstein client list because there are so many names on it, and it's going to implicate so many people. And there's actually a list. Pam Bondi in the winter said she wanted the document from the FBI. Kash Patel said that the list lies in the FBI director's hands. So what happens? All these, I guess if you call them MAGA, pro-Trump people are in power in the places where they can do exactly what they said they would do. And then all of a sudden, there's no client list, no new files, no wrongdoing, no list, no blood, like nothing.
Nothing.
And what essentially they're saying is Jeffrey Epstein went to jail for no wrongdoing. And so did his wife, Ghislaine Maxwell. There's nothing going on here, nothing to see. Like, Sheldon, do you buy it? Because for me, this reeks of the greatest cover-up in modern.
This is 100% the greatest cover-up. I'm going to disagree with you on one thing. Now, yes, I am. Like, Trump ran on this and he really promoted it. I was excited that maybe one chance in a million that this would actually come out. Because the reason I'm saying it's not political is because, well, the Dems never did anything. They freaking buried it. Trump was going to bring it out, and they trumpeted it like they were about to, and then it just fizzled. And you know what? By fizzle, I mean, yeah, we have it right here, guys. It's coming out, and then there's nothing to see. Jeffrey Epstein committed suicide, and there is no list like that. I am very, very disappointed in that.
I mean, if you're someone who wants right and wants the truth, this is, like you said, disappointing. I think a lot of people don't necessarily want right and want the truth. Like, I feel like there's a little bit of blame game on whose side it is here. No, I don't think. No, Chevy, I take that back. I think this is the one issue that probably united the right and the left. Yeah, probably,
like,
because everyone's pissed.
Anybody on either side that would say, "Oh, I don't want to see what actually happened."
Well, and you know me, like I kind of I'm on the Twitter a little bit more than you, and you know, I kind of get a sense of what's going. Like when the Elon Musk and Trump feud happened, I kind of knew that it was happening almost in real time, and you know, some of the other stuff that's going on. But this is one, like you said, there's people on both sides saying, you know, I'm very pro Republican and I was pro Trump, but this is disappointing. And the problem is they've been so public about it. Kash Patel went out. Yes. Publicly and said that he knows this exists.
It's with the
Pam Bondi. I have it in my hands. I'm going to release it. They stood on the White House front steps with that big binder saying we're going to release all this stuff. And now there's nothing. And we're talking about, like, we're not talking about the guy that was brought in on charges and then they couldn't find anything in his house. This is years and years of surveillance and documents and drives and logs. This is not small fries.
You know it's there. You watch the trucks. The FBI guys go in and they pulled it out. They're pulling computers, hard drives. They talked about the video evidence that they had. Where did it go, Chev?
It's all gone. And it wasn't, the client list wasn't people that would be nobodies. This is a systematic institution. What he was running was something for the elites that thought they couldn't get caught. And guess what? This is
what's disappointing. This is why I'm saying it's not political. At this point, it's not right or left. And if you want to look at it that way, it's fine. What this is it's us and it's the people that the laws don't apply to.
Yeah, and absolutely.
I also understand why. You know what would have happened if somebody actually leaked that list out? There'd be a lot of dead elites, right? Like, nobody was going to release that without. I mean, Trump got 2 assassination attempts already. Maybe Pam Bondi just decided it's better for her lifespan to maybe I'll just let this one go, because there would have been blood on the streets. Yeah. But it does show you this: if you were guilty of something, and I'm not justifying what Jeffrey Epstein did, but if you, as a normal civilian in this society, were guilty for 1/10 of what he did, if you made a wrong move, comment, downloaded something, you would go to jail like you deserved.
Oh yeah.
Here, they picked one scapegoat, and that's Ghislaine Maxwell, and the rest of it. The rest of us dummies down here, we're going to have to guess for the rest of our life. Well, Trump was on the list. Clinton was on the list. Tom Hanks, like all these rumors, and we will just never know because the game is rigged against us to actually, we're not worthy to know what's actually going on with our elites.
No, it's very sad. Again, people got the wool pulling over their eyes. And I think more and more, what people are discovering, everyone make America great again. And again, I'm right now, I'm putting this squarely on the current administration. Like you said, the Dems buried it in their time.
The Dems buried it.
Yeah, but I know they did.
That they were going to, like, I don't think that's a fair move to do.
But
it could be they tried to do it, but
what I'm saying,
because there's people that are bigger than a current administration.
What I'm getting at right now is you're right. They did bury it. What I'm saying is all those people that voted for change, that voted that this is something different, that voted that this is something that's going to get results that they want, that's going to be put the little man first. They've just been told that it's the business as usual.
when it comes to
business as usual. Business as usual. Business as usual. It's not put America first. When you look at the war in Israel, when you look at everything in Ukraine, you look at this, the record is it's business as usual. The elites get in to protect the elites, and they just find the ways to do it. And that's why I think
you look at it.
That's how I'm looking at it. That's why I think there's a lot of tension between Trump and Elon. I'm not the biggest Elon Musk fan, but I told you this about Elon, because he's a spectrum guy. If you tell him this is right, this is wrong, tell me what's right and wrong, he's going to tell you what's right and wrong. And that's why he just went ahead and formed his own party. That's why he's starting to retweet things against Trump. People think that Trump, like I love Rubio. He listens to the show and he says, yeah, Trump is an OBS guy. Trump is an OBS guy as long as it doesn't affect him.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden he's the biggest bullshitter and diverter in American history. Even today, when asked about Epstein, on the heels of this being buried, he's like, why are we still talking about that? That's in the past. This is like the hottest topic in the world right now. Besides the floods that are going on, this is the biggest thing. And he doesn't want to talk about it because he's not a straight shooter. Yeah. When you talk about straight shooter, Elon Musk, as much as I don't like some of the stuff he shoots, he says, hey, listen, I'm not here to tell you morality, but when we're wasting millions of dollars on a charity that puts 2 people into college but spends millions of dollars for the admin to put those, it's not efficient. Whatever he does, he sees right through the bullshit, and he'll tell you whether you like it or not. And he's telling Trump he's wrong. A few weeks ago, he was the one that was the first one that said Trump is on the Epstein list, and millions of people saw that. And then and that started all of this. I'm convinced that that's what started all of this. And
what started all of this was the spending bill that Elon was against.
Yeah.
But anyway, you know what? I'll tell you what. I will agree with you on this. I think when you're sort of labeled, and I don't like the right or left label. But when you're on that right, you look at it issue by issue, and I like this, and I don't like this. Now, I don't have to say I don't like this, so I'm going to write off everything else that a guy does. Trudeau legalized marijuana. Good on him. Yeah. He was the first guy in Canada that had the common sense to do that. Now with Elon, I like it when he calls out Trump, because I agree with some of what Elon says. I agree with some of what Trump says, but I don't look at any one of those as the great power that has all the answers. I like people keeping each other accountable. I do know this. If you actually cared about what was going to happen with the Jeffrey Epstein files, you would have been a lot more pissed off 2 years ago, 3 years ago, when this all going down, it was being buried. There was one chance for it to come out, and they chickened out because, I don't know, poor dumb bastards just wanted to live another 5 years. Right?
Well, I think they were on the list too. Like a lot of those people probably buried it because they were on the list
without being released. You could speculate anybody, and now again with partisans, we're going to speculate on both sides, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely.
And we're not going to make any progress. Frustrating.
Yeah, listen, I don't know much about baseball, but Bruno said we have to mention the Jays, so. I did a little quick math. I believe the Jays are undefeated in their last 10. So that's going well for the Blue Jays. If you're a baseball fan out there, that's a good thing. I can't tell you what else is going on. I think the Red Sox are 8-2 in the last 10. So the Jays are really on a good streak. I know I saw some chatter about Vladdy today. So he's earning that big contract he got, and looks all good in the East right now. Other than that, I'm not sure what's going on. I've got I want to watch the F1 movie. I know Trey saw the F1 movie. He said it was great, so I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to a new Superman movie this week. May check that out. Big week in the CFL with 3 games going on with the Stamps. I think the biggest game would be the Stamps going into Regina, and see who's going to come out on top there, because they're both neck and neck in the standings, and this is a big one. Sheldon, what are you looking forward to this week as we head into the next week of the ride?
Well, I'm just hoping to sneak away to the lake again this weekend for 3 days. I'm not sure it's going to happen yet, but if I don't, so honestly, the game this week is the Riders and the Stamps, and I'm absolutely intrigued because the Riders right now, what are they? Are they 4-0, 5-0?
Riders are 4-1. He just put the stat up. I don't remember them. I don't remember them losing yet, but they're 4-0. They're 4-0, and Stamps are 3-1. That's right.
Yeah, and I'm curious. Like Vernon Adams, even last game, he was good. He wasn't great. He didn't throw for 300 yards. But the Stamps are starting to look like a team that knows what they're doing. Now they got to go into Regina and face AJ Ouellette and Trevor Harris, and the Riders have just been absolutely dominant so far this season. So for me, that's the whole thing. We're going to learn a lot about the West this weekend. I'm looking forward to seeing that game.
Yeah, no, it's good. Yeah, I'm on my second week of holidays. I kind of like this. Take some holidays, stay home, do some things. I went down to Harvey Passage today. Like I said, took in a Stamps game, did the Stampede, Sylvan Lake. I'll go back to Sylvan on the weekend, but catch some movies. I'm excited that we're back in the saddle. I'm excited to begin Trey's second year as producer on the ride with Chevy and Nasty. Hopefully he'll show up pressing the right buttons next week, but he got the hole-in-one tonight. We're happy for him, and happy that you guys join us each week, because it's fun, and the ride's going to happen whether you're here or not. But we got room for a lot of passengers, and we got great comments, and we love hearing from you guys each week. So thanks for joining us, Sheldon. Great job as always, showing up, doing your thing, and Trey, good job. There's always room for improvement next week, but not on the golf game, because a hole-in-one is pretty special. Congrats to you. And everyone, have a great Stampede if you're hitting the grounds. Daryl's out there. He's working it pretty hard. And the rest of you, we'll see you back here on the ride next Tuesday at 10:30.